Can a game story be predictable yet enjoyable? Can fictional characters have rights not to be ogled? I may or may not answer these and more questions when we take a good look at Forward to the Sky. My name is Felipe Pereira Sibioni, FPS, and this is the FPS Factor. Now, let's slash this review in parts, why don't we? Yeah. Show. Forward to the Sky is a 3D puzzle platformer with a few combat elements, where you must traverse the sky tower to defeat an evil witch. It's a doujin style game, for those who don't know. It's like an Eastern indie game, but with a few elements that make it actually a coherent style on itself. More on that later. This game have cute semi-cel shaded graphics, harmonious music with nice gameplay and story. It was developed by Animo game, released in 30 of January 2015, 10 years ago. It costs $8 full price, but right now, as this video is going live, it is 75% off, costing only $2. It's a very good price discounted. The game it's a bit short for $8. It's kind of steep price, but $2 is a very good asking price for it. It is very positive on Steam. To find out if it's worth the score, let's take a good look at all aspects of it, starting with graphics and aesthetics. The art style is kinda cel-shaded. The place we are in, it's island in the sky. In this case, it's a sky tower. As I said in other videos, I absolutely love this aesthetic. You have day and night, loads of stones, crystal, lots of other elements. Perfect. I love it very much. The main character is this very cute chibi princess with a big sword. She has a fluffy white dress with purple accent and a big purple ribbon in the back, with some armor elements here and there in the dress itself, making it a battle dress. Always a delight, just like this. Other characters, I wish there were more like this. This, together with the island in the sky fanservice, makes me a very content person. To know more about what fanservice actually is, check the card if I can get it right. And also the video at the end of this one. It's my video on DEI, politics, fanservice and other stuff. It's very informative. Do watch it. Let's continue. She has blonde hair in a ponytail with big ribbon, also purple, and a couple more elements, these red balls that are on the big ribbon on the back. Both her hair and the ribbon and the dress, they sway with the wind, with her movement. When you jump, she also flutters. You can see her panties with some camera movements. It is a cute frilly white one with a purple stocking and garter belt, so it complements perfectly with the rest of the outfit, as a princess should have. I'm making a point here on the panties because it would be very strange not to have you been able to see under her dress, considering this is the same developer of PantyQuest, a bizarre game where you use panties to fight other panties. Back to this game, the enemies are mostly cute cartoony skeletons, some with different equipment. That's basically all the types of enemy except for one other. I'll talk about it much later. The environment and background, as I said, are all the sky tower and the vast blue sky, all old with plants growing on stone blocks. Absolutely marvelous. I love it very much. Visual effects are sparse, very sparse in this game. They are mostly restricted to some elements of the environment that you will come in contact with, especially wind you can ride on, or wind that pushes you. This is mostly it. Just see the movement of the sword, of the things. Nothing too fancy. Composed mostly by Chris Kukla, with the one track exception, the opening one by Bao, one of the main devs behind the game. This whole soundtrack is a wonderful orchestral soundtrack, with well-defined instruments like piano, drum set, percussion, cello and some flutes. It creates that adventure and wanderlust feeling that the tower in the sky really deserves. The tracks themselves are not terribly different from each other, though. You could say even that each track could be part of a single symphony, an ode to the Sky Tower. I like it very much. You can get the soundtrack for free, actually. From the Steam page of this game, there is a DLC part. You can click it, go to that page, and you can download it completely for free. Very nice. I'm not sure if you must have the base game first in your account, but if you do, get it. The sound effects are okay. Sometimes they are kinda loud, especially her whistling, the princess whistling. That happens every time you fall out of the level. It kinda gets on the nerves sometimes, but you can't adjust, unfortunately. More on that when you take a good look at options. Now, this game has part of its dialogue voice acted, but unfortunately the voice lines are delivered without much emotion most of the time, or they seem kinda forced. It's, so. Also, it's all in English. I've seen no option to turn it to Japanese, which is the standard that could be done for a doujin game. It would be much better, even if the voice acting was not on par. It would be less noticeable, but what can you do? Also, the princess has grunts when jumping and attacking, and sometimes when she's speaking and also doing the action, you can hear both the grunts and her speaking at the same time. It is kinda unnerving, I'd say. It kinda takes you out of the experience. One of the grunts should be silenced whenever she's speaking. Ah, what can you do? There is a story to this game. It is a fairly substantial story, especially for a game this size. It is told outside the level by this text with a single picture, a framed picture. Inside the levels there are dialogue boxes with, as I said before, full voice acting. The acting, as I said, is so-so. The dialogues, they advance automatically, you don't need to press anything, you can play while the dialogue is happening. But sometimes it advances a bit too fast, from one line to another. That's a problem. There are dialogues of the princess talking to herself, basically it's exposition, and dialogues between her and the witch. You can see the story from a mile away. It is a very predictable story. Within just the first lines of dialogue, you instantly know what's going to happen. Even if the story is not too light, it feels like it. The whole place, you know, the sky towers, you're bathed in sunlight, you're in this very beautiful place. The story seems to be like a storybook one. It is very charming, even if the voice acting is not up to par with the story being told. It's still a cute, charming story. You will appreciate it. It's not bad at all. The characters also, both the princess and the witch, they are well done. They have their story, their motivation. Even, as I said, for a game this size, this is one of the focus of the game. The story, the environment, the elements, it all comes together. It's very nice, I like it very much. I am disheartened, but I must endure. As always, the options are severely lacking. When starting the game, you have a window with some options, resolution, graphics quality, and which monitor you want the game to be displayed. This is very good, I've never seen this one. You also have rebinding of controls here. All of this needs to be done in this pre-game instance, because these options are not present within the game itself. Inside the game you have the settings, which only give you a couple more things. There's a single volume slider with, of course, music and sound effects together. There's also camera's movement speed, that's pretty good. An option to invert horizontal and vertical camera movements separately. This is quite important in 3D games because not everyone likes them one way or the other. As for the rest of the missing options, there's obviously language that's missing. V-Sync, a very important one. Check later my Mangavania review for why that is. There should have been music and sound effects and voice acting in separate sliders too. And many more. There's also this strange back option to return to the last place that it was. For example, if you moved the slider a little bit and you didn't like what you had, you can press back and it goes back. But it's easy enough to just move it again. Nothing too major, but option is option. As for the performance, it's pretty good. No big bugs or glitches that I've seen. Sometimes the physics engine, when interacting with some objects, like moving platforms, might make you clip into them, but you don't die or get stuck from it. Even if you fall from the map, you're not gonna die, so don't worry about it. A couple objects might break a little bit. For example, boxes might be a bit harder to push, for example, but nothing major. It's a nicely done game. As for the controls, they are such. You have your movement with only one movement speed. No running button this time. You move with your analog or the keyboard with the WASD, emulating the analog movement. Your jumping is, I'm gonna repeat myself from the 30 video, basically this whole movement control section is almost identical to the 31 for some reason. Your jump is smaller than you would expect, but while jumping you can reposition yourself very easily. No problem here. You can also, Tori can do this, attack with a sword. You have two combos, one of them with 5 attacks, the other with 3. The 3 attack one seems to be a little stronger. Each of them you just hit one of the 2 attack buttons, the number of times required for the combos. When you finish the combo, if you keep hitting it, you go back to the start of the combo. You cannot jump and attack. Missed opportunity. This is a game in the sky, you should be able to jump and attack. It is kinda disappointing. You also have a backstep dodge. It is pretty fast, might make you a little disoriented because it changes the camera sometimes. Be careful with this one. The camera movement is done with the right analog, which, as I said, can have its speed increased or decreased in the options, or you can reposition the camera behind you with a shoulder button press immediately, but not equal to Tori. It is a bit too fast, this one. It might disorient you, it is a bit too much, too intense. If you are on keyboard and mouse, your mouse movement is the camera movement. It is a bit faster overall, I'd say, and it's much more smooth than using the right analog stick. The gameplay loop of this game is the following. You enter a level, fight some enemies, solve some puzzles, platform a bit, solve more puzzles, beat some more enemies, gather crystals, until we get to the balloon at the end of the level. Then on to the next level. That's it. The enemies that you face are very simple. They are bundled up in confined spaces. Usually there are about 25 of them for a reason. I'll talk about it very soon. When you enter this space, they will come up to you and try to hit you. There's a couple of variations of them. Of these skeletons, they have some projectile attacks or magic. Your objective usually inside the levels are to collect crystals and then reach the end of the stage. There are 100 crystals per level. They are both within enemies, one of each, or statues, 25 each statue. So there are usually 3 statues per level plus 25 enemies. Fortunately, the crystals, both from enemies and from statues, as soon as you kill the enemies or destroy the statues, the crystals will fly to you automatically, even if they fall off the stage, which is a big possibility because you are in a tower in the sky. Very good. This is extremely important. If this was done wrong, it would have effectively ruined the game. There are some things that cannot be messed up. Developers, this is very important. Listen to me. This is one of the times that you cannot go wrong with a specific spot. This is one of them. It is critical for you. This is make or break of the game. If this wasn't the case, I wouldn't have gone for 100%, maybe even abandon the game. Because it's very easy for the crystals to fly everywhere. Imagine you are on the last crystal and it falls off and there's nothing you can do. Oh no! But anyway, speaking of platforms that the crystals might fall out from, you do have some platforming to do. It's mainly jumping from one floating platform to another, trying not to fall out of the level. Nothing too complicated, and your jumping control is very good, so it's not too taxing. Back to the crystals a little bit, they actually serve a purpose. They unlock the story in between the levels. Each 33 crystals unlock a third of the story that the level will tell you. There are some physics elements, as I said before, like boxes you can push, wind tunnels, they might break and have some problem in being hard to push in case of the boxes, or launching you outwards the wind tunnel, plummeting down, I would say to your death, but fortunately here in this game, falling out of the level never results in death. Every time you fall out, you immediately call your balloon and go back to the checkpoint. There are loads of checkpoints in each level. They are invisible, they are not a place you pass through, they are not a goalpost you pass through, something you destroy. No, it's just a spot on the map. They work in proximity basis. If you are in a certain place of the map, you fall out, you go back to a specific place. Meaning, sometimes if you fall down and land on a much earlier part of the level, you effectively reset your checkpoint to that place. So it might be better to just fall outside than inside the level. You just call your balloon and come back to where you were before. Also, it's very important to note that no elements of the level, like defeated enemies or solved puzzles, reset if you fall out. Only if you die and have to restart the level, they do reset. You have a life bar, you have an HP. If it's depleted to 0, you die. Normal stuff. But how's the combat and how's the difficulty of that? Let's check it out next on when we take a good look at combat and difficulty. The combat itself is kinda clunky. A lot of times you are in the middle of the combo, you try to reposition yourself within the combo, but you simply don't change the attack direction. But it's not much of a problem because the enemies are slow. They end up not being a big of a problem. And even if they hurt you, you have a huge health pool. That is the savior here. This princess is built like a tank. She has a battle dress that's for a reason. She's a tank. She has 1,000 hit points, and most attacks and traps will cause 10 to 50 damage to you. It's not much. You can take a lot of punishment in this game, but there is no way to recover your health in the entire game. There's no items you can get. The only item you get are the crystals that only serve to unlock the story, so take a little bit of care at least, so you don't die. Honestly, it is kinda easy, this game. I almost never use the dodge. Most of the time I even forgot I had the dodge. You just charge in, beat the skeletons, that's it. If you get hit, you have a lot of hit points. Since there's no fall damage from outside the map, and the jump controls are very good, you don't have a lot to worry with. Actually, there is some passages that will give you a little bit of trouble, but there's no problem at all. I literally only died once doing my playthrough. That's all. I died once. Now, this game, as I said, also has puzzles. They are mostly simple affairs. You look around the environment, flip switches, go back and forth, push buttons, press the levers, all with a sword, of course. You have a sword, you use it to hit the switches. You test out the puzzle, get it wrong a couple of times, and then your brain will give you the correct answer in no time. Each stage you have to get 100 crystals, right? Usually there's three statues. Two of them are usually in a very well acknowledged part of the path, and one of them will be a bit more hidden. It gives you the chance to not complete the stage with 100%. You have to pay a little more attention to. Sometimes just look around, you find it, and have to find a way to get there. In this game, as I didn't say before in the gameplay part, there are destructible elements, there are destructible walls and pillars. In the start of the game I just kept banging on them, destroying everything. It's actually very satisfying. But these destructible elements, they're confined to certain spaces, especially the ones with the skeletons. They are not used in any way in either exploration or the puzzles. You do not have to worry about it. They're just there for you to have a bit of fun destroying stuff. That's it. Here's where we can really feel the doujin style of games more strongly. In the menus in the UI, they all have that certain style. The menus are akin to those in the PS1 era of games, with a pool of font styles usually clashing a bit with the sculpted elements, and I love it so very much. Before the game properly starts, you also have that configuration window. It's very basic. It is a staple of doujin games. After starting it, you are thrusted into the start screen. No other splash screens with the engine name, developer, anything like that, no. You just have a few clouds in front of the title screen. They then unobscure your way for you to see the start screen. It is absolutely beautiful. You have the princess on her balloon to the right, heading for the Sky Tower, ready for adventure. The logo of the game is marvelous, with the stylized font in blue and the drawing of the princess in a very Final Fantasy style. Also, there's a little silhouette of her balloon. Behind them, only blue sky and clouds. Perfect. From here, you go to the main menu. It is all without any words. You have a compass type object in the middle, pointing to your options. Here in the menus is the only place where you see the ground down in the background. Inside the game it's all sky and clouds. It's obvious because right now you are preparing to set off to the Sky Tower. It is a very nice touch, I love it. On the up direction you have the balloon. It is the level select screen. And here in this game we must call them levels because the game does so. Level 1 to 6. You can replay any level that you have beat and the current unbeaten one, which then unlock the next. Simple stuff. Back to the main menu. To the left you have a simple control tutorial. You can see here it is used for the mouse and keyboard. It's much easier to check the controller instead of the whole keyboard, so it's nice to have. But we could have had also that for the controller, whatever. To the right we have the settings. We talked about it on options. And down, the unlocked story. The in-game UI is very simple. You have your HP bar inside a representation of your sword with the blue color that depletes as you take damage. But there's a number displayed too, so it's easily parsable. Below, to the left a little bit, you have your collected crystals. That's it for the UI, it's all you need. When you pause the game, you have the options from the settings, a big button to continue playing, and 3 options below where it shows which level you are currently. You have a retry button to go back to the beginning of the level, which resets everything in the stage, all enemies, all puzzles, everything. There's a home button to go to the main menu and a quit button, just closing the game immediately. Someone is coming, close the game. Navigating both the main menu and this one, the pause menu with a controller, is kinda strange, and sometimes it's even difficult to see because sometimes the highlight is not very good. I would navigate using the mouse, it's much easier. This is a very small game. It all takes place within the Sky Tower, thus all of the environments are the same, just like in Mangavania, a game which I also took a good look at. Check it out later. Here we have the 6 levels environments. I will talk about each of them, but I'll talk about the elements that they all share. The environment itself, as I always say, it's the part where you interact with. In the background is the cosmetic non-interactable elements. Here, among all the stages, all the levels, pardon me, the floor and walls are always made of white stone blocks. They are a bit dirty sometimes, and a lot of them have overgrown plants seeping through the gaps of the stone. There are some of them that are half destroyed. You have some actual little plants growing out of them. Very beautiful. There are also columns around, sometimes half destroyed, sometimes not, sometimes with plant growth. All the same. In all of the levels you will find these statues of a hooded, winged figure which contains crystals when destroyed. Each of them, as I said in the gameplay part, contains 25 crystals. In the background you will always see more sky towers. All of them have a similar structure to the one you are in. Sometimes you can see some rubble falling from them, very dangerous. You can also always see the sky in clouds behind everything else. Beautiful. Now let's talk about each individual level and their mechanics. First, obviously, we have level 1. We start here with a bridge. It is broken, be careful. It has crystals carved and embedded in small pillars of the bridge. You'll see many more structures with crystals embedded. In the background we have a beautiful blue sky with white clouds. It is the middle of the day. As for the mechanics pertaining to this level, we have these timed spikes popping in and out of the ground. Then we find these platforms with levers. Hit a lever and the platform will move. If you hit it again, it returns to the original position. You always have one lever inside and the other outside. That is, of course, for have you not get soft locked. Since falling out of the stage does not reset anything, this is a very elegant solution, I'd say. In this level, the platforms move mostly sideways, they go around. There are also spikes in the walls, be careful here. You are also introduced to boxes. You can push them to serve as platforms to reach higher places. They will have another use later in another level. But for now, they're for climbing. There are also levers that move some parts of the tower so that you can arrange them to create a passage. Most of the puzzles, this is a small enough game so that most of the puzzles are used once. You have, for example, this type of puzzle, this is used only here, nowhere else. If this was a 50 levels game, maybe we could have seen much more variations, but that's for our next game. Also here you find enemies. They are skeletons with crystals embedded on them. They usually attack you melee style. Some of them prepare a magic ball and throw at you. This stage is very straightforward, not many puzzles. This is the first one. Next, level 2. Still taking place during the day. We have the introduction of buttons. When you step on them and stay held, they will move something. In the beginning you have these platforms in poles that will move up and down. There are also doors later on that go up and down while you hold the button. There are also some slow moving aliases that will hurt you if they hit you. Watch out for that. Here you can also find skeletons, normal ones and also ones that are donned in armor with swords and shields. They do have some different attacks. Stay alert. Here we also have boxes, combined boxes and buttons. If you have played Portal, should be obvious. Push the box on top of the button. While it's held, the door will go up and down. There are also some other horizontal wide aliases that can be used as platform. This stage is very puzzle centric. You have to go back and forth handling all of these elements to progress and find the statues. A very nice one. Level 3. We finally have a first different sky where at night lots of stars above and the clouds have some beautiful blue hues. Stunning. This stage have lots and lots of blue crystal formations. It is the crystals of the story. Be careful, if you touch them, they will hurt you. Here the focus of the stage is movement-based puzzles and some platforming too. There are these big rings floating. They create a wind tunnel for you to fly through. And as I said before, when they make a curve, they might push you to the outside. You do have to control yourself. You can't just let the wind take you. As for enemies, we have a new addition. It's the skeleton archers. Nice. There are some places with crystals on the floor that have a wind pushing you in a certain direction. You will see particles floating in that direction. When it's these cases, you will see fairly easily. If you are going through a ring and you simply fall down, it must be because that ring is not active and it requires a lever to be hit for you to continue. There are a couple sections also that have this light blue light all around. It makes you jump slower, higher and floatier. It is to platform between big pillars that are a bit more far apart than the others. Near that, there's a section with a button that will make your gravity reversed until you either press another button or leave that specific area. If you have been avoiding to see her panties at all costs, tough luck, because when you revert the gravity, the camera will pull down and you will see her panties whether you want it or not. The camera will pan there. Level 4. Still at night, but now we can see a big crescent moon. Very beautiful. There are lots of floating crystals and pillars with round crystals inside of them. One of these crystals will produce a ray of light. When the lever is hit, this ray will bounce and pass through all other crystals in a straight line. You can curve the ray when it passes through a pillar by pushing horizontal levers in those pillars, making a way for the light to pass. What is this ray for? In this stage there are lots of semi-transparent structures that become solid when they are hit by the ray and become transmiable again when they are not hit by the ray. If you push the pillar out of the way and interrupt the ray, the structure will become transmiable again. The concept is simple, but the puzzles here are a bit more complex in this stage, especially to find the hidden statue. Basically, the whole stage is one big puzzle where I have to find a way to get there. Very nice. Here we also have some skeleton mages. They will conjure a crystal wall to hit you. If they do, you are stunned for a moment. You cannot move. Be careful. Level 5. This one is taking place at dusk, it seems like. We have here the most platforming focused level of the game. You have rolling boulders, lots of laser beams, both stationary and moving. There are also boulders that you can go on top of and move as you would move atop a giant boulder. Your controls are inversed, you push down, you go to the front. Very nice. If you lose the boulder for any reason, there are buttons you can step on to reset the boulder. There are also those platforms that have levers. In this case, they go up and down a floor, some of them, so you can go up the boulder and such. If you are having difficulties with the last part, with the rolling boulder and lasers, you can always cheese it, like this. You get not on the very top of the boulder, but a little lower. The boulder will block the lasers. Very nice. You can just pass through. Now, after going through all these 5 other levels, it is time to finish this by confronting the witch. To know what happens, let's head up to the ending section. Spoilers abound. By getting all the crystals on each of the levels, we have a very clear picture of the story. The witch is actually a victim of everything that transpired and only wanted to protect the crystals and the people. She was misunderstood, chased away. Time to confront the crystals now that are trapping the witch in them, seemingly to protect her from everything else. It is a boss fight, and what a marvelous boss fight it is. We enter in a big circular arena with a big staircase, destructible, very important, all around it. The witch is at the center, encased in the crystal. There's a small group of skeletons here. You can't quite reach the crystal to attack it directly. Upon starting the fight, you can see there's a line coming down to you. If you look up, you'll see lots of monoliths. There will be a line from them following you, and they will launch themselves to you, to your last location, after a few seconds. What you gotta do is pretty obvious. Align the crystal between you and the monolith's path so that they hit the crystal. It might be a bit difficult to get them to line up at first because sometimes the target will shift, but you'll get it soon enough. I tried scaling the staircase first. I don't know if it's necessary. Oh, probably not. After each hit, you get some crystals. So, this level is gonna have 100 crystals for you to collect. After 3 hits with the monoliths, the witch comes out of the crystal, but she is possessed by them and will attack you. She has some crystals near her to shoot at you. She will also shoot laser beams rotating around the stage. Hit the crystals, then hit her, you get more crystals. Then she will start flying and shooting crystals at you. Run around. She will then use the skeleton mage's magic and also make a dash attack with that magic. Avoid and hit her when she's down on the floor and in the cooldown period. When you get more crystals, you will get to the last phase. She stays up in the sky all the time and makes some crystal arms to hit down on the ground, trying to hit you. When she does hit the ground, it creates a way for you to climb up and hit her. Do it enough times, bash her, and you defeat the crystals. Yeah! For me, it was an epic fight, as you can see here. I got to 33 hit points in the last section. Very nice. I love it, this boss fight. Then it's time for the last cutscene where the princess and the witch escape the tower via balloon, and the sky tower actually collapses. With the princess taking the witch with her, she becomes her friend and guardian. Too cute for me, my heart. Lovely game, lovely story. Now for completion, it's basically just gathering the crystals from each of the levels to uncover the in-between of levels story. If you don't, you have only a few of the sentences needed, but the ending, the final conflict, everything stays the same. It does not change. So it's just that It's also very easy to find the hidden statues. Just do it on your first try, you can do it, don't worry. Completing the game takes about 2-3 hours, including getting all the crystals. Now onto the achievements. Half of them are gate style, meaning you just need to pass through that part of the game for it to unlock. You have one for each of the levels, 6 achievements. There are 6 more achievements, 1 per level, for gathering every crystal within that level. Simple achievements. For a simple game, you can get 2 achievements per level. In the end, 100% you are done with the game. Very nice, I love it. For a next game, my wish list is, first I want a next game, a continuation with the princess fighting more enemies, if possible a focus on combat and platforming, develop this combat system. It has so much potential, I love it. The puzzles are nice, but the game page on Steam made it seem like the focus of the game was going to be the other 2 I got because of that. Puzzles are nice, but you know, also do the action. Now for this next part, it's a little bit of spoilers here, so while I talk about the spoilers, I will hold up Sakura's staff. When I put it down, the spoilers will be over. Spoiler time. For the next game, I also want more boss fights, because the one against the possessed witch was fantastic. Also, considering you become friends with the witch, I wanna see her playable too, with crystal attacks, you know? She has some lingering crystal powers still. She might be the magic caster to the princess tank sword fighter. It has so much potential on this. End of the spoilers. End of the spoilers if you skip the ending part of the video. As I said, a longer game for next time would be nice. For this game, VSync, split the volume, all that stuff. That's it. To conclude, this is a pretty nice game. May not be worth the full $8 price, but from 50% off or more, it is a nice couple of hours experience. Do get it, don't skip it. Story is very cute, very nice, lovely. You will see the potential that this game has, and together with me, let's bother the devs to make a sequel. Anyway, thank you so very much everyone for watching until the end. Check out my other videos, subscribe, it will help me immensely. I'm just starting the channel. I need all the subscribers, all the likes, all the views that I can get, so that I can get to 10,000, 100,000, a million. Let's take over the world. What are you gonna do today, brain? Thank you so very much. Until next video, thank you.